Hello, thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Breaking Free from Nicotine. Today we're joined with Dr. Shenita Anderson, who is let me get this right, an emergency nurse at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. And we also have Akil Yancey, who is a registered nurse and public health nurse, and Valdas Partee, who is an artist, founder and creator of Poetically Designed here in Los Angeles. We at Breaking Free are excited to work with this team because they put together an innovative poster or canvas artwork to display kind of anti-tobacco imagery to combat the deceptive tobacco marketing that is out there that's um, it's very enticing, but there needed to be something to fight against that. And so they joined forces to come up with a piece of artwork that is actually used that has the ATCLC logo on it, the African American Tobacco Control Leadership Council logo, and has been used through one of the cohort 3, which is what Shenita was part of. And so talking a little bit about that. And also another hat that Dr. Shenita wears is the Voices of Liberation. And so just want to talk a bit about all of those things and also her paper that she wrote on like smokers and that category that has been often overlooked, even though it's a broad category of smokers that often goes unstudied. Dr. Shenita Valdas and Akil, thank you so much for joining us. Please tell us a little bit about the work that you've done and what you're doing and so forth.
Well, thank you for having us. I really appreciate the opportunity. And the work that we all partnered together was basically to present to smokers, Black smokers and Black non-smokers alike, to basically combat that perversive pro-smoking imagery and signage that you kind of see all over the city. And so since that big tobacco has really been able to profit off of that, I said, you know what, let's take a page out of their book and see what we can do to do an anti-smoking campaign that also has anti-smoking verbiage and imagery and see how that impacts African American smokers and non-smokers alike.
It's wonderful. So how did you join together to do this, and how did how long did it take, and where did you actually do the study, and tell us a bit about the participants who were part of this.
So Valdas and I had already been talking about the work that he does with the imagery and the poems that he puts together, and so I knew that he was a person of interest for me. And Akil and I had worked together on a project that we decided to do on our own when the pandemic broke out, and so we interviewed. Like he had all of the cameras and lighting and everything to talk to me about the impact of COVID on what I did when I was working at a community emergency department. And so I knew that those were two aspects that I'd be able to use in the ideas that I had come up with. And so over probably a period of 2 months, we went back and forth with the plan of what it was that I was asking for from Valdas, and then I had Akil in mind because we had already worked together, and I also brought in basically an African American social slash business hub in the gathering spot. So it's right in the historic West Athens area, and they had a podcast studio available. So, you know, working with that particular place, Akil and I had several meetings where we went and got familiar with the podcast system and things of that nature. And then I had several meetings with Valdas, either over the telephone, over Zoom, or in person about the kind of ideas that I had and how he can incorporate what he was already doing.
So Valdez, what was the inspiration behind the piece? And we'll include that piece so that everyone can enjoy that. How did you come up with the imagery and each, I see that there are 3 different images, and then there's also some text. Did you write that text, and how did you come about doing that?
Well, when Shanita was telling me about the whole concept, the imagery had to definitely coincide with the words, to impact the crowd that would actually see something like that, to bring to life that everybody could actually relate to, especially within the African American community. in order to see what's actually going on behind closed doors. So by that conversation and the imagery, it brings words to life. And that's how I'm able to bring word to life by pictures and through conversation. So when all that comes together, it just blows up into a beautiful piece, word by word, paragraph by paragraph, in order to impact the community, to say they see things beyond of what they're smoking, and then they begin to wake up. So all those words fall into place to what people really need to know and see in order to understand what's really going on behind closed doors and what's going on with their bodies. So yeah.
What do you hope to achieve by doing this? Like, do you see it possibly in magazines, or what's your end goal for it? Or what was your vision? Would you like to see it on billboards?
That would be a beautiful thing to happen, especially with the love that I do regarding Black people as a whole, because you have no idea what I write and what I do as far as when it comes to Black people, because me being a Black person, I know who I am and I know who my people are. So again, with what I see, I write. God has given me a gift and it's beyond words. So words is the best way that I can put it out in order for people to understand and get pictures as far as with what's going on. So definitely it would be a beautiful impact for people to understand, and not so much to who I am, but to who they are. So yeah.
Actually, let's read an excerpt from it, or see if you happen to have it on your screen. What's your favorite part of the piece?
My favorite part is the people that's in it. Um, you have a pregnant woman that's fall into the situation of life regarding smoking, and then you have a couple that's trying to understand one another, but yet there's cut in between that smoking concept, and it's ruining their lives at the same time. But it's so many different stories within that one piece, as you can see. So you can actually comprehend of what each one is probably going through versus people that's actually looking and reading it. Their life is within that picture, and and the words just brings it all to life at the same time.
So we have the actual piece here on the screen, and um, are you able to zoom it in just a little bit so that we can see? We see that the personal impact and hopes are to continue and grow our relationship with internal and external customers, to pursue the purpose of saving Black lives, to foster an openness beyond tolerance and a willingness to be a lifelong learner, and to continue to embrace my own uniqueness and represent in all spaces. So that was more so for the presentation that you did with Quantum Leap, which is an aspect of the ATCLC. I believe it's a biannual project that's done to have different cohorts, and you're welcome to find out more about that on the ATCLC website. And we'll include that information as well in the video. But so this was a project that she presented as part of that. And as you can see, there are the different images, and the video that we will include will have the responses of participants, or people who share their initial reaction to seeing the piece and how it impacts them. One of them, I believe, was a smoke, or did actually smoke, or two of them smoked. Is that correct?
That's correct. There was two smokers and one non-smoker.
Was there a tangible reaction where the people who do currently smoke make make a choice toward not smoking, or did it seem like it was something that they had help them with making a different decision?
There was a lot of change talk in the conversation. One particular person said that I love smoking, but I don't love what it's doing to my body, right? And so one of the observations that they made was that the smoke was in the background. And they said, it's in the background. They're turning their backs to it, and so that was an inspiring moment because that was something I didn't notice.
Um, so, and also just curious from the medical perspective, is there anything that you can see with that type of marketing that may help from that aspect as well? And Akil, if you're able to jump in, feel free. I know that we're all, it works so right now, but definitely would like to see if there's anything that maybe stand out that from the medical perspective as well.
I think from the medical perspective, what's really important is that a lot of these changes are silent, right? And people really don't know they have a problem until they have a problem and the damage is already done. And so, speaking from emergency nurse perspective, a lot of times emergency room is not used for emergencies. People use it as their primary care. So being able to connect those dots with having outreach in a setting like that would be marvelous. And also bringing attention to these kind of silent nuances that are going on and helping people to understand why you particularly enjoy this negative health behavior, I think is important. And to have more of this imagery that promotes the change talk, right? Because obviously people will tell you in a second, I know I need to quit. But, right? And so being able to address those buts, I think, are incredibly important.
I agree that what you just said says a lot, and that you hit the nail on the head. So that being said, considering change talk and voices of liberation and people's stories, tell us a bit about that and what you're excited about doing with that and how you are to incorporate that as part of Breaking Free.
I think Voices of Liberation is going to help to solicit a different response in terms of what success is. A lot of times we don't give ourselves credit for small steps that we may or may not take, and we might get hard on ourselves because it's not this end goal sort of thing, and then you get discouraged altogether. And as we know, tobacco cessation is really a chronic disease. Like tobacco use is a chronic disease, and cessation is a long process. And so since cessation is a long process, a lot of people don't know that. And so to know in advance that it is a long process and there are some successes along the way, I think Voices of Liberation would help to enumerate that in so many ways.
It's powerful. So what's the timeline for Voices of Liberation? Is that something that we can look forward to within the next few months or so, and how can people get involved with that? Or if they have patients who may have a liberating story, a liberation story that they like to share, how can they share that with you? Or what would their steps be to, partner with you on that?
So the protocol is already down and we're set to go live as early as tomorrow with recruitment. And I just hope to be able to give voice to the process of cessation and the victors that come forward and let everybody know, how they've kind of conquered and found liberation through tobacco cessation.
So by the time this issue comes out, the protocol would be in place. And so what's the best way for them to reach?
What I'll do is I'll make my email available and my phone number, because I think that we wanted to open up all three modes of communication, whether it be video, audio, or written, just to be all encompassing and kind of help everybody wherever it is that they are, and to be able to really get these success stories out.
That's great. And also we may have some innovative thinkers on our scene here. How can they contact you as well, Mr. Artist?
Um, email and phone number, which I'll be happy to give out when called to give it out. So I'm excited about it. I do have a website and I have everything available for people to see more of my work if needed. So just say Val go.
Thank you both so much. Is there anything else that you'd like to share about this? And or maybe, oh yes, there is one more thing. We touched a little bit on light smoking, about your dissertation on that. Are there any key points that you would like to tell people as far as how smoking, even if it is maybe one or two cigarettes a day, or people consider themselves not that much of a smoke or a person who smokes, how can you address that, or what are some training tips that you may have, or counseling tips or things, so that people can understand that even though it is a category or even though they're not smoking as much, it can still be harmful, or what have you learned from that study? What did you learn? I guess I should ask that first.
So I just did a paper with Dr. Mary Rizkana that we submitted for submission, that we submitted for publication just last week. And it really talked about the qualms with African American light smoking, and light smoking in general, and how there's a non-linear cardiovascular risk, right? So people think, oh, I only smoke a little bit, but you're smoking a little bit is still not as impactful or less impactful, right? And that's kind of what the mode of thinking is sometimes. And so one of the things, or several of the things that came up in the dissertation study, was that people just need support. And the support is along the lines of the social determinants of health rather than smoking cessation itself, or knowing about particular health risk and things of that nature. Like, people know that it's not incredibly healthy, right? But they don't need to be admonished. They need to be supported. And so that's what I'm hoping to center as I move forward in my career.
And as an emergency room nurse, have you seen any extreme cases with relation to tobacco use?
So I start IVs all the time. I can see the differences in the vessels, and whether or not these IVs stay in and things of that nature, or just sometimes you need 1 inch of straight vein, and I can tell that you're a smoker by the appearance of your veins and things of that nature. And then how hypertension is the silent assassin. Nobody really knows how well or not so well they're doing and until they have to come into the ER setting. And so to be able to have those conversations and change talks before something goes wrong is incredibly important.
Um, Dr. Shenita and Valdas and Akil, I know this conversation can go on forever. Is there anything that you'd like to encapsulate your experience so far and what you're looking to do in the future with the work that you're doing?
Okay, well, I'll speak on just being able to reach out to my culture and let them know that there's someone that's writing their story, writing to who they are, or who they're becoming, or who they are, to uplift, inspire, which I do have up under my caption, where life, inspiration, and pen meet. Poetically design is a gift that's given to me by God, to where I build, I plant. I want to see it flow. I want to see it flourish. Us as the African American community, because I really want us to get together in order for us to kind of just collaborate and just love on each other and just talk seriously, real talk, other than just being separate. You know, that's my love. That's what I'm hoping to see that we can do. And with Shanita, bless her soul, she's so powerful and empowerment, where I love to jump on her boat and just row, but I'm not rowing by myself. So ask me.
So wonderful.
So what I hope to do in the future is continue to save Black lives, and whatever that looks like, whatever that need looks like, and whatever that support looks like. I hope to do. My dissertation study was a qualitative study because I felt like there's a lot of things that are remiss when you just look at the numbers, right? And having tangible experiences with people are really important. Sitting down at the same table, listening to their experiences, listening to their stories, and basically giving those particular voices and experiences a microphone, right? Because oftentimes we're overlooked is really important to me.
So, well, thank you all for joining us today, and we're excited to be working with you in the future and also right now with Voices of Liberation. Definitely keep us posted on everything and any other projects that you may be working on, Valdas, or if there's anything that you are wanting us to partner with you on with your public health work, we'd love to do that. And thank you all for joining us and taking the time out today. I know that we had to fit this in, so I do appreciate you, working around our schedule and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you, and we appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. We have a team of dedicated individuals who are using innovative measures or techniques to combat the insidious and deceptive marketing strategies of the tobacco industry. There is work to be done, but we do have some foot soldiers here who are making inroads and who are actually doing the work to make sure that we can say, okay, we're liberated from tobacco once and for all. That's the goal. And as Dr. Shenita mentioned, it was, she called it change. Let's try to say it correctly, because it's very powerful when you think about it, since yes, change talk. And talking about changing behavior, it's something that she learned in the class where you can actually begin to start that conversation yourself or with other people to change certain behaviors in your life, or the people who you are serving can begin that talk and make efforts towards making change. And it's a more productive way of seeing the process of quitting smoking and tobacco and substance use. Thank you so much for joining us today, all of you, and look forward to our September issue, and have a wonderful, wonderful month.